we define entrepreneurial management, or I like to call it the discipline of entrepreneurship, as a set of principles and frameworks that align you and your passion to a sustainable and repeatable business model. Thank you so much for coming. It's an honor to present to you today. I know you have a lot of other things to be doing besides listening to me talk, as my friends would say. So thanks a lot for coming and being part of this awesome entrepreneurial community we have in Toronto. How many are entrepreneurs in the audience? Anybody in large enterprise right now slugging away? Great. Awesome. So some of these quotes may resonate. We'll start with this one. Running a startup is like being punched in the face repeatedly, but working for a large company is like being waterboarded. This is, as crude as it sounds, it's from a really successful serial entrepreneur in VC at Y Combinator, Paul Graham. And the reason I put this up is because I do a lot of research at Mars in my own startup as well, but most importantly with startups like yours on why they fail and what we can do at Mars to help them succeed. It is a challenge. We know this depressing stat, right? 30 to 40% of all startups fail, but 95% fail to deliver on investor expectations. So the key is to start testing, to start building the frameworks and methodologies to help startups succeed. And as Marielle was mentioning, I've worked with over 200 startups here at Mars, doing the research and applying the frameworks that I'm about to tell you. There's a lot to cover tonight, so please do come up to me after with questions if you have any. Also have a rule, if you can turn on your cell phones, that would be great. We're in a connected society, so please connect, share anything you learn with your friends out and via Twitter. I'm at Cowboy Tweets. You can see a lot of what I'm tweeting actually on the tweet board over to my right, your left. So how do we define entrepreneurial management? What does it mean to be an entrepreneur? Well, there's many different explanations for being an entrepreneur. We're going to start very high level and then go deep in some areas here. For me, it was solving a pain point in this space. I currently am a co-founder of an online run coaching program that does online and in-person run coaching based here in Toronto. And for me, it was about solving the need for creating an advanced coaching service for runners. But that might not be why you're here, why you're interested in being an entrepreneur. You may have an idea, you may have some domain experience, have passion, or just want to change the world, create a difference in your life and the lives of others. All of that's all great. But where do you start digging as an entrepreneur? And this is always the toughest question as an entrepreneur is what do you want to be when you grow up, right? And so how do you start juggling with such a kind of ambiguous, large question in your life? Areas that are based in research that you should look at are your knowledge. So what is your education, your career, any hobbies that you really, really enjoy that you're thinking about, you're doing all the time. In my case, it was running, so I started my own running company with a group of folks. What are your capabilities? So what are your strengths, proficiency? What things can you do really, really well? Any connections in your space or the space that you want to enter is extremely important as well, and I'll get into why. Capital, so any savings that you have on hand, we call it at Mars the ramen noodle diet. How long can you last on your own and be sustainable until you can either make revenue or product market fit or sustain yourself? So what brand, sorry, I'll go back. What brand are you known for? So each of us has a personality. Each of us is different. What is your brand? What would people describe you? How would people describe your best skills and capabilities, which is cool. Any pain points that you've noticed? Where's your passion lie? What markets really interest you? What products, services, and commitment? Huge, huge endeavor, right? Becoming an entrepreneur is 24/7. Probably some of you entrepreneurs out there have your email going off like crazy right now, 1,000 things going through your mind like me. So what is your commitment? Can you handle this for a minimum of 2 to 3 years? So start thinking about those questions. And that's just a start. And we're here at Mars in the Venture Services Group to help you answer those questions, as well as we're here in E101 every Wednesday to help you answer those questions. And also in this room, connect with each other. There's a lot of great, smart talent in the room. Your neighbor sitting beside you could have a connection for you, could have some insight that could help you get introduced to a customer. This is a great opportunity to connect. Some of our best startups at Mars have actually come right from the E101 audience, including Casalova, Iris, and a few other. You get a chance to meet actually a few of them outside as well at the end of this session, which would be great. Go say hi. We've got 4 walls here, who's basically delivering a room in a box to your home, dining room, kitchen, etc., within hours. So it's a Casper. Anybody heard of Casper, the Casper model mattress? A few people. Great. Same sort of model. We've also got Iris, which is producing a low-light digital application for low-light photography and videography, which is awesome. So go check them out. So the other question that you want to ask, the key one, is what can you do that you would love to do for an extended period of time? What is that? So it's a tough one. If you really think about it, sit on that for a while and really think through what you could do for a while. So we define entrepreneurial management, or I like to call it the discipline of entrepreneurship, as a set of principles and frameworks that align you and your passion to a sustainable and repeatable business model while you scale through the chaos. And there's 5 key growth phases your company will go through if you decide to launch into the startup world. We'll talk a lot about that. Are you really ready for this? Or if you're ready to jump, I'll be your Sherpa. We'll help you out here at Mars. And welcome to Everest. If you leave with anything today, it's this idea of testing and failing and getting used to failure. And pivoting, we'll use that term a lot, pivoting to success, because that's what we want to do at Mars. We want to help provide you the tools and resources to get through this chaos or climb the mountain. So in order to do that, I need to tell you why startups at Mars and elsewhere fail, so that we can learn, and I believe we learn more through failure than we do through success. And that's something we can debate in question and answer period. But what we know, and this is based on my work with well over 300 startups, and work at the Startup Genome, which is an organization out of the Valley. Anybody here heard of Startup Genome? Okay, so they do research with about 3,000 startups. They've done research with 3,000 startups in North America. And what we did at Mars was decide to pair our data and our research and why startups fail with theirs to validate it. So what we found was that startups that track metrics, so not just qualitative metrics, but metrics that help move their business forward, who engage with helpful mentors in this room, mentors within Mars, mentors elsewhere in the startup community, tend to succeed a lot more, have a lot more user growth, and raise a lot more capital. This idea of the pivot, and I'll talk about the business model and where your startup can pivot, also is a reason for startup success. When I mean pivot, I mean you're out there as founders and founding teams, learning from your customers, turning those customers into insight, which equals a pivot. Premature scaling is a big reason for failure. So if we can help scale the startup by helping you deploy capital at the right times, that's a key area of focus for Mars. Solo founders, of course, take a lot longer to reach product market fit or scale stage. And then this is interesting. So in the tech world, and this does apply to physical channel and other industries, such as clean tech or digital health, social innovation, fintech, the list goes on, wearables now, Internet of Things now. I'll try not to buzzword you to death. But there's 3 kind of teams that we look at, and this is a big one. Business-heavy founding teams do really well at sales and product-driven startups. They tend to scale them quite well. Product-heavy or tech-heavy founding teams tend to scale product-driven, rapid iteration, less on the business side, but more on rapidly iterating the build, the engineering of the product, tend to do well on product or technology-based startups. But the real equilibrium is with balanced teams. So a balanced team in the tech world means a hacker, hustler, and designer. So basically an engineer, someone with business or domain expertise in the market you're launching into, and a designer, someone that can bring it all together, tie the user experience together, and create something really special for the world. Founders that don't work full-time, of course, don't have as much user growth. It takes a lot longer to reach product market fit. This is a big one. We always have these ambitions and forecasts on what we feel our startup will achieve within the first 1 to 3 years usually. That always changes, and this is why pivoting is so important. Listening to customers is so important. Most successful founders are driven by impact. It's really hard to quantify, but I can tell you from working with a lot of startups, you can feel it and see it in the way they go to market. They're talking about their product 24/7. I'm getting emails 24/7, which is great. But they really are passionate about their product. It's like pupils dilating, talking to you nonstop about it. So that's the question you have to ask yourself. Am I really in this to build a really great company that has impact, or am I looking for investment or just an exit? Build with passion is the most important advice I could give.